No, that's what you can say. Let's bring it.
Ready when you are, Chairman.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's semi-final debate. My name is Nidhi Sophi, and I am the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Zaina Shadid. The debate will be judged by a panel of three adjudicators who are Ms. Cho, Ms. France, and Mr. Hazel. The topic of this debate is that driverless cars are a really good idea. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Glenunga International High School, and the negative seated to my left is from Mitcham Girls High School. The speaking time for this debate is, I'm quite sure 4 minutes, it hasn't been written now. A single warning bell will sound 1 minute before the speaking time, ring bell once. A single and a double while will be sounded at the speaking time, ring twice. Please ensure that your mobile phones are switched off. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker. William C.
Good evening, Mr. and Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that driverless cars are a really good idea. As the affirmative team, we believe that this statement is undoubtedly true. We define driverless cars as vehicles capable of traveling without input from a human by means of computer systems working in conjunction with onboard sensors. As sourced from the National American United Science Union, we define a good idea as a thought that, when put into reality, will benefit society. We also define a good idea really as being a pun on the word really. This leads us to our interpretation that the concept of driverless cars will definitely be beneficial to stakeholders when put into reality. Tonight, we will be proving our case by testing the topic upon 3 criteria: the effect on individuals, the society, and the economy in which for the topic to be true. The net positive effects on these stakeholders must outweigh the net costs. Hence, we will be showing how this test is fulfilled and that driverless cars are a really good idea. I, as the first speaker, will highlight the safety that is provided by driverless cars and how the elderly and disabled population will benefit from their introduction. The second speaker will explain the business and economical benefits provided by driverless cars, along with the significant environmental benefits. Our third speaker will sum up our points and rebut the vital flaws in the opposition's case. This brings me to my first point. Driverless cars are orders of magnitude safer in preventing many accidents caused by human driving errors. A comprehensive study from the Australian Bureau of Statistics found that human errors were the sole cause of 57% of all accidents and was a contributing factor in over 90%. Fatigue, substance driving, and distracted driving are all factors I'm sure that we are all aware of. Our contribution to deaths and accidents on our roads. However, these problems can be easily avoided with driverless cars due to the greater precision and the autonomous features and hence reliability. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety has seen a 7% reduction in crashes for vehicles with a basic automatic forward collision warning system and a 14 to 15% reduction for those with automatic braking. An essential point to note, ladies and gentlemen, is that these cars are not even fully driverless, and yet there are still promising safety results coming out from them. This leads me into my second point. Along with the increased safety, driverless cars will also improve the mobility of the elderly and disabled demographic. Since the elderly and disabled population are less physically capable, they are also often unfit to drive independently. The Bureau of UK Statistics, according to ageuk.org, states that the older and disabled population have a higher chance to cause risks when driving to the general population. This is due to a variety of medicinal, physical, and mental factors, in particular, the restricted reaction time. Ladies and gentlemen, are we just going to sit back, twiddle your thumbs, and wait for the accidents to occur? I think and hope not. Experts from Volks and Forbes say that the societal benefits could be enormous, since the autonomous cars would give the less able the freedom and independence they deserve. Not only will it cater for a very broad perspective of people, it will also allow greater safety, less accidents, and therefore a better society. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I have evidently shown the positive outcomes of driverless cars as a result of their safety and increased mobility for disabled people. through utilizing trusted evidence from renowned worldwide sources. There is no reason not to believe the multitude of benefits that driverless cars will have in our imminent and inevitable future. Driverless cars can go very far.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Sukriti Sharma.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that driverless cars are a really good idea. We agree with the definition given by the affirmative team. However, we, the negative team, believe that the statement is false. The first speaker of the affirmative team has tried to tell you that driverless cars are safer and don't cause as many accidents as regular cars. This is wrong because, as the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety states, these all account for 1/3 of the total number of accidents on the road. Additionally, Jessica Tichinko, the co-author of their study, states that we are still going to see issues despite them being faster than humans. There will always be errors and they will not react instantaneously. Driverless cars also use 3 sensor systems: laser, radar, and camera sensors. These will not always perform flawlessly in all conditions, but because they are not programmed for every condition. No driverless car company has been able to perfect these sensors either. He also has tried to tell you that people with disabilities will get more freedom from the use of this driverless vehicle. This is wrong because people with disabilities are not in need of more freedom and are able to live normal lives already. According to Easter Seals Disability Company, the fact that people with disabilities cannot lead normal lives and do not have as much freedom as other people is a myth. Many people with different types of disabilities are independent and capable of helping themselves and living a relatively normal life. For example, Better Health Channel Victoria states that 3 of the most common physical disabilities, arthritis, cerebral palsy, and the spinal cord injury, are able to drive. This means that driverless cars will only increase the mobility of very few individuals with disabilities, considering that most are already mobile themselves. Today, as first speaker, I'll be talking to you about the loss of jobs if driverless cars are implemented, and how they are subject to cyber attacks. Our second speaker will be talking about how driving is good for the brain, and how computers do not have morality or instinct that the human brain does. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. My first point is that many people will lose their jobs to driverless cars. The reason for this is that many people have jobs as drivers, meaning that the production of driverless cars, there would be a widespread job loss. Research by Harvard University estimates that as many as 5 million Americans in the USA make a living or work part-time as professional drivers. David Cole, the director of the Center for Automotive Research in Michigan, states that robotic vehicles will soon displace professional drivers in numbers that will certainly be the millions. If they lose their job, it will be difficult for them to relocate, as driving is their primary skill set. The Australian Government Job Outlook states that 66% of professional drivers in Australia use driving as their only source of income. Job Outlook Australia also states that 58% of these workers are over the age of 45, which, according to the University of South Australia for Work Excellence, is only 5 years away from being the most unhireable age bracket in Australia. Being 45 also leaves them very far from retirement. Overall, professional drivers will surely suffer at the hands of driverless cars. They will be forced to leave the field of work they rely on and are highly likely to struggle to get a job outside of this field. Now to my second point, that driverless cars, with their excess use of technology, are vulnerable to cyber attacks. This is because cyber attacks are an attempt to gain unauthorized access to any sort of computer system. This data can be stolen or even manipulated to do illegal, extremist, or terrorist activities. A report by the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity states that self-driving vehicles are vulnerable to hacking because of their advanced computers that they contain. These cars must use a combination of sensors, cameras, radar, and artificial intelligence to make sure that they can detect what is on the road and to function properly. According to Professor Engin Kurda, a system, software, and network security expert, states that any car with a GPS, smartphone access, a radio, and even air conditioner is vulnerable to cyber attacks. Imagine how susceptible driverless cars, vehicles who run completely on technology, would be to cyber attacks. Information can be stolen from your computer on your phone, and your car can even be controlled. Additionally, not only are these attacks dangerous for you, but for everyone else on the road, including other drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. According to Kari Johnson, an AI writer, hackers can use these cars to be made blind for the environment around them, meaning that they would not sense their surroundings. Are all of these factors worth risking for drivers?
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Arhan Kapari.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, as the affirmative team, and contrary to our opposition, we strongly believe that driverless cars are a really good idea. In addition to the points elaborated on by our previous speaker, I will emphasize the benefits that will be applied to standardized businesses through the greater efficiency in vehicles like trucks to the commercial industry. I will also describe the environmental benefits that are intertwined with the introduction of driverless cars. However, before I go on to these points, I will first outline some critical flaws amongst the opposition's case so far. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that driverless cars will not be safe for people. However, what we are saying is that they will not prevent all accidents, but they will be more safer for humans and prevent less accidents. They have also said that they've also mentioned the unemployment factor and how lots of people will lose their jobs. However, from a history point of view, we know that people will adjust to change. For example, take the American agriculture crisis or Western industry crisis. So with this factor, 90% of people used to work on farms all the time, but now due to the modern technology moving in, people have adjusted to change and moved on to other jobs in the more modern and business industry. Also, according to CNBC.com, which is a trusted news source in America, only 1/5 of people actually work in driving industry, and the rest work with technologies. Therefore, they will be able to adjust more in a greater way than people who drive. And then we can cater for the people who drive by letting them adjust to the change, because the driverless cars plan will be adjusted within a flexible deadline. Moving on to my first point. Autonomous vehicles have the potential to revolutionize our economy due to them not needing to rest and therefore greater efficiency. These advantages especially apply to commercially used vehicles, a prime example being trucks. Take Australia for example. Here, trucks transport over 90% of the food we buy to grocery stores around, as per the Australian Bureau of Statistics. And the revenue received by truck companies this way equates to billions of dollars being circulated back to the national economy. But, ladies and gentlemen, what if there was a way to make this process more efficient, perhaps cutting costs by billions, also while providing cheaper costs to the public? And this is where driverless vehicles come in. Holding on to the example of trucks, the Law of Australian Act 1961 permits drivers to work 12 hours in a 24-hour period, known as standard hours, or 14 hours if they have a BFM accreditation. It also states that drivers must take a 7-hour break after reaching their maximum daily work hours. With an autonomous vehicle, however, trucks will not have to rest. Due to the increased time efficiency, trucks will be able to transfer more food or items in a quicker time period. And as a result, this will lead to higher product consumption and intake, as well as cheaper items to buy. This goes to show how driverless cars can impact a broader society rather than the individual. Moving on to my second point, which is closely intertwined with my previous one. So with driverless cars, producers' biggest problem is the amount of fuel they consume, and the best way to minimize fuel consumption is through reducing revs and minimizing braking. A driverless car, due to its robotic mind, unlike humans, can accurately calculate the exact levels of revs to run the engine. According to a study from Stanford University, automated cars can, by doing this, reduce energy consumption in transportation up to 90%. And this is just assuming driverless cars will be on diesel, not even electric. That is a whole different story. So no matter the engine type of driverless cars and whether they apply to heavy or lightweight vehicles, the environment will be benefited immensely by the reduction of air pollution. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, from the environmental and economic benefits I have elaborated before you today, you simply must be convinced that driverless cars are definitely a really good idea. And when we think about it, ladies and gentlemen, it seems more impending on us than ever before that these cars will definitely shape our future due to how modern technology is progressing. When this will happen, that is still uncertain. Therefore, it is imperative for us to adjust to change rather than to shoo it away. After all, driverless cars can take us really far. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Jessica Norris.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that self-driverless cars are a really good idea. We, the negative team, believe this statement is false. The speaker from the affirmative team has tried to tell you that driverless cars will be better for the environment. This is wrong because, as the Department of Energy states, driverless cars could increase the energy consumption by almost 200%. The more energy that must be put into fueling a car, the more that must come out as carbon emissions. Although you can clearly see the massive increase of energy from a small device and capability, imagine how much increase there would be for a driverless car. This all occurs that driverless cars would produce more emissions than regular cars for the environment, not for better. They also said that driverless trucks have economy benefits because they do not have to rest. This is the strawman fallacy because the topic clearly states that driverless cars are a really good idea, not trucks. Our first speaker already stated that the self-driving cars might cause a loss of employment and that self-driving cars are prone to cyber attacks. Today, I'll be talking to you guys about 2 points. My first point is that there is no way machines can have the moral and ethical decision-making ability of humans. This is because of the moral machine dilemma, which is the way that machines lack the ability to make moral decisions between various unfavorable consequences. Francois Bonfer, a research director at MIT Media Lab, states that when programmers design a self-driving car, there are two main actions that it could take. In the instance of a collision, it could either choose to minimize the harm or obey by the law. The most well-known dilemma for this is the car must choose between crashing into one person that is abiding by the law or crashing into 3 people who are not abiding by the law. Nature Science Journal conducted the largest ever survey on machine ethics, and the results show that the morals principles vary by each country. For instance, people from wealthier countries are less likely to incline to spare a pedestrian who walked on the road unlawfully than people from poorer countries. A computer scientist on this project said, what we are here to show is the data, and that the data says that there is no universal rules. In similar situations, driverless cars, a human reaction would be based on instinct, not deliberated decisions that have been programmed to execute. The moral machine dilemma means that there is an impossible task for the program a machine algorithm that fits the universal moral, as there is no correct decision according to everyone. Now to my second point, that driving is a vital skill to have, and doing it improves yourself as a whole. This is because driving significantly improves your brain efficiency, capability, and memory. And so without the needing to driving with selfless cars, we are depriving people of these benefits. A study from the US Nation Academy of Science shows that cab drivers who are constantly driving were shown to have an enlarged hippocampus compared to regular people. The hippocampus is responsible for memory and learning, which occurs for any normal people who drive will experience the increase in capability in these areas due to the growth in hippocampus. They continue to document this as it led to an increase in spatial cognition. According to Cognitive Research Institution, there's a direct link between the increase of spatial cognition and the working memory. They also found increase in the spatial cognition to be a very strong and notional precedent of the STEM achievement. This all concludes that driving regularly can improve memory, learning, and improves academic achievement, while also getting you from point A to B. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we the negative team not only strongly believe, but are certain that driverless cars are not a really good idea. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Johan Rajpaksha.
Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a world in which you did not have to keep your eyes directly on the road in your vehicle, never wavering in the possibility of an accident. Imagine a world in which your car could just autonomously drive you to wherever you want. Think of the countless ways this would improve your life. The amount of struggles you could forget about every single day. Well, this dream is slowly becoming a reality, but there are some who are against it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As our team has clearly outlined, for a multitude of reasons, driverless cars are a really good idea. As the third speaker, I shall first discuss the opposition's points before summing up my team's case. The first speaker of the negative team has tried to tell you that drivers would lose their jobs, but has failed to tell you about the excess jobs that could come from driving. Cars always require maintaining and taking care of. This will allow the drivers to still have a job. And also, it's not like the change will be instant. So drivers could have time to find re-employment. They have also tried to tell you that cars can be hacked. Well, so can missiles, so can phones, and so can any technology with any connections. We cannot let a tiny amount of people who choose hacking as their profession to stop this innovation. The benefit thoroughly outweighs the negatives. The second speaker of the opposition has tried to tell you that trucks are not cars, but you agree to our definition, which has vehicles capable of self-autonomous driving. This includes trucks. The second speaker of the opposition has tried to tell you that driverless cars will not be ethical, but this is false, as through these difficult times, we need mind more than heart. The second affirmative has also tried to tell you that driverless cars will make people not drive anymore, but they can still learn to drive as an option. It's like we don't need to hand ride anymore a lot at the time, but we still do it to learn the skill. To summarize, our first speaker clearly explained to you that driverless cars are significantly safer than normal cars today, due to a greater constant precision of computers when compared to humans. He also elaborated on how this will assist elderly and disadvantaged humans with transportation, as they shall not be able to drive in present cars. Continuing on, our second speaker has thoroughly elaborated on the amassed environmental and economic benefits that driverless cars have support. Ladies and gentlemen, driverless cars are the future. Are we good? They are a dream to many people across the globe. Are we gonna let this be a dream forever? Or are we gonna let some tiny issues be the end of an innovation that could change us, advance us into a more efficient, safer, and overall greater society? So, members of the audience, I shall leave you with one final message. Steve Jobs once said, "Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat." And to this day, over 1 billion people use this product. He was also faced with a great number of people who opposed his idea, and now is credited with the creation of one of the most technologically advancing ideas in history. To predict, as humans, we have learned to predict certain things. And one of these things, for certain, is that driverless cars are a really good idea. Driverless cars can go very far.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Zoe Abbott.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate today is that driverless cars are a really good idea. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is strongly false. The first speaker from the affirmative team has tried to tell you that semi-driverless cars have good results in safety, so this will be mirrored by fully driverless ones. This is wrong because our first speaker stated fully driverless cars share a myriad of issues that are not experienced by semi-ones in terms of cyber attacks, cybersecurity. Semi-driverless cars are also still piloted by humans. They still have the decision making of a human to make them successful, where fully driverless ones would not be. And this means that it aids in fully driverless cars may have many issues that semi-driverless ones do not have in the slightest. He also said that driverless cars will help the elderly population be more mobile by being able to drive wherever they want. This is wrong because many older people can still drive and have the mental capacity to make effective driving decisions, meaning that they don't need driverless cars in the slightest. The second speaker from the affirmative team has tried to tell you that transitioning to driverless cars would not be an issue because other transitions to automated things have been fine. This is wrong because, as the New York Times states, after the Industrial Revolution, which displaced millions of jobs, just like driverless cars will, and proposed a new and frightening alternative to good old work, just like driverless cars do, there was two major communist revolutions. These revolutions were devastating, with a death toll that approached the numbers of 100 million. Think about how much worse a widespread, possibly aggressive, protest could be in the 21st century. What with the rise of automatic weapons and social media to fuel the fire and gather support for the millions of people with displaced jobs, the results could be catastrophic. He also said that driverless vehicles will increase time efficiency for truck delivery. This is wrong because this is off topic, considering that the topic includes cars. The third speaker from the affirmative team tried to tell you that professional drivers can easily get another job. This is wrong because, as our first speaker stated, this is not the case, as 58% of Australian drivers are over the age of 45. And as they also stated, this leaves them only 5 years away from being in the most unhireable age bracket in Australia, meaning it would be very hard for them to be rehired and to get another job. Our first speaker spoke to you about how driverless cars will displace millions of jobs worldwide. leaving our professional drivers scrambling and without a job to support themselves. She also said how driverless cars are susceptible to cyber attacks, which endanger all of our streets and our pedestrians, since they could be taken over at any time by a cyber attack. Our second speaker spoke to you about the moral machine dilemma and how it proves that machines cannot represent the ethical values of humans and should not be the one driving cars that may hit humans. She also stated that driving as a skill improves many areas of brain capability, as well as being a way to get from point A to point B, making it an indispensable skill to have. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the negative team, believe that driverless cars are not a really good idea, but are actually a really bad one, as the pun goes. They will displace millions of workers, endanger our streets, and cannot morally or ethically decide who gets to live and die. How can we possibly say that driverless cars are a good idea when all they will do is damage? How can we implement them knowing they could be taken over at any second and become mass instruments of destruction in things like terrorist attacks or extremist activities? Thank you.
We now come to question time. For the next 3 minutes, teams are invited to take turns to ask each other questions about the debate. That is, the affirmative team will ask a question, then the negative team, then the affirmative team, and then so on. A team is free to indicate if they have no questions. I now invite the affirmative team to ask their first question.
Okay, so our definition states that driverless cars are vehicles, and you agreed for this. So, and surely a truck counts as a vehicle.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to that? You said it's a straw man fallacy too, and that means it doesn't relate to
Yeah,
that.
sorry, I messed up on that fallacy. Still learning them, but it was going off topic on that second one because
I think we were thinking more towards the topics like original statement and less of the definition, which said cars. But obviously, if you say that in your definition, then yeah.
Okay. Do you want to ask?
You guys have
we asked them.
why did you actually I don't know. Oh, you said that trucks. You were like, they didn't need to rest or like refuel when all vehicles eventually need to refuel like regular cars. So yes.
So with that, with driverless cars, they'll be like, oh yeah, they could fuel themselves, and also lots of them that are being made are actually electric, which means that yes, I acknowledge that I did say that point, but they'll need to refuel less because electric cars are proven to have a higher lifespan in cars, and so things like brands like Tesla and Toyota are all trying to make electric cars driverless. We're not saying that they'll all be electric, some of them will be petrol, but if you think about the bigger picture, it will eventually speed up consumption with the implementation of driverless cars as a whole. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Oh yeah, wait, give one. Okay, so for the negatives of fully driverless cars, you said that there are a lot of safety hazards with them, and also with the elderly, you said that they are actually fit and they can drive, but especially for the negatives of fully driverless cars, do you have any proof of them from like statistics or anything like that?
So we did.
Well, in terms of just like in general, I guess regular like disabilities that old people might have that might affect them. One of these could be like, I guess, arthritis, which develops with old age, which we did actually have a statistic that we didn't put in the rebuttal, but basically it's one of the most common physical disabilities, which is arthritis, and basically people with arthritis are not normally this does not normally lessen their driving skill actually. So that's just, I guess, an example.
And for the negative effects, one of ours was cyber attacks, and we didn't include like exact statistics, but we did articles from professionals who have made and developed these cars, and yeah. Also another,
Oh yeah, so what we're saying is that elder people are more prone to getting these diseases than younger people, so they have a high chance of impacting our roads in a negative way.
And they also have like lowered cognitive functions, meaning they're slower to respond, meaning they're more likely to get into accidents.
Yeah,
We're not discriminating against them, we're just saying facts.
but the elderly, they have the capability to think for themselves.
The time is 10:50.
You guys.
You can ding the bell if you need, just if everyone's talking. Could we please have the times as well, please, timekeeper?
I invite a representative of the adjudication panel to
Oh, hang on a
come.
minute, no, is there not notices for you to read?
I don't think so.
Should there not be notices, the three adjudicators will go outside, we'll discuss, we'll come back in, and the residents will then speak.
Are you sure there are notices up the front? I could have sworn
There
there
are,
was.
and I'm not
I'm
sure.
just going to check. I'm sure there's something about grand finals.
Okay.
Some important notices for
Sorry. So for the semi-finals, the semi-finals chairman's notices 2021 for Year 10 and Senior. Would you like to be an adjudicator for primary school debates in 2022? Adjudicating is a great community service and it will improve your own debating. See the information desk for more information about how to sign up. Number 2, winning team sides. Please see the draw sheet for debate number. We are delighted that the grand finals will be held in the House of Assembly Chamber, Parliament House, on Saturday, the 25th September 2021. Parliament House has advised that we need to collect RSVPs for attendance. An online RSVP form is available from our website now. There is a formal security screening process to enter the Parliament House. To avoid delays in start time, please allow plenty of time to arrive and give priority entry to debaters and adjudicators. I'm not sure about this. Okay, the grand finals. The debate number will be grand finals. Affirmative will be in room 1 or 3, and the negative will be in room 2 or 4, as according to this. Number 3, award presentations. All grand finalists, today's winning teams, will be invited to the award presentations to be held on Friday, the 29th of October, 5 to 6:30 p.m. at Sacred Heart College, Marsden Campus, Senior School. Further information will be sent to our schools, shortly.
We'll be back just in a minute.
I invite a representative of the adjudication panel to come forward and announce the results.
Alrighty. Thank you for coming. Well done for getting this far, guys. We're not doing any feedback tonight because if you've come this far, you're clearly doing the right thing. But it was a unanimous decision tonight, so the winner tonight will be the affirmative team, so congratulations. And we've also given Speaker of the Night to the second affirmative, so congratulations as well.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
So we'd just like to give a massive thank you to the adjudicators who all came out here tonight to adjudicate the debate. Also for the parents and friends who have come out here to watch and help us get here. Our coaches for helping us through and getting us and checking our work and helping us think of ideas. The other team for an amazing debate. You're absolutely all so talented, and thank you for such a great debate. The timekeeper and chairman for reading the notices and keeping time, and Nazareth College for hosting the debate, and Debating SA for organising.
I call upon a member of the winning team to second that. Thanks.
We want to thank the chairman and the timekeeper for hosting this debate and keeping it fair. And we'd like to thank the adjudicators for judging this debate, and parents who came, my mom and Nidi's mom, and parents and family members. We want to thank Isaac for being the best coach, and Nazareth for supporting and hosting this debate.
Yeah, can we also thank us three and Tristan?
Yes.
No, I'll get to that. First and foremost, can we thank Tristan, Nidhi, and Isaac for staying up and pulling all-nighters with us and everything until 12 a.m. to do these speeches. And thanks to everyone who came, including the adjudicators, chairman, and just most of all, thanks to the opposition. It's been an amazing experience, and you debated really well. So yeah.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.